Hey everybody, I hope you all are doing well and welcome back to Michael's Matters. Now, of course, I am Michael, and today, as the debt ceiling fight doesn't seem to be getting anywhere near to a conclusion, at least in the not so distant future, the deadline for Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen's extraordinary measures to keep the government running is coming quite near. In fact, with the most recent estimation being that the money could start running out of the government's bank account by the 1st of June. This, of course, would cause all manner of bad stuff to happen, including the possible delay of Social Security benefits for folks who are on Social Security benefits. So that could be Social Security Retirement, Social Security Survivors, Social Security Disability SSDI, as well as Supplemental Security Income, or SSI. So today I want to talk about, if the debt ceiling fight doesn't get resolved, and hopefully it does, fingers crossed, who would actually be hurt most by it. Also, I want to talk about the final result, which was a failure for one state who tried to cut all taxes on Social Security benefits for its residents. Now, this is Michael's Matters, and before we get to it, if you like these videos, if you find them interesting, if you find them helpful, or hey, if you at least find them useful, please don't forget to like and subscribe, because it really does help the channel to grow, and again, we're super thankful for that. But also, you get updates when our newest and most informative videos become available. All right, now, let's get down to the video. So just in case you have not been paying attention to the news this week, maybe, I don't know, maybe been distracted by the King of England getting his shiny hat, Republicans, led by the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, and Democrats, spearheaded by President Biden, have not yet come to any sort of agreement that would lead the country to raise its debt ceiling and to start paying all its bills on time. This is a big problem for the nearly 60+ million Americans who receive benefits from the U.S. government, specifically through Social Security benefits. In a sign of some progress, though, President Biden and congressional leaders are going to meet tomorrow, that's Tuesday, and at least get to an initial agreement on how an agreement could possibly, potentially, maybe, eventually get agreed upon. So, sort of an agreement to eventually agree on all of the requirements of the agreements that are going to be agreed to agreeingly. As this happens, though, we have already started to get pretty concerning statements from Janet Yellen, who is the head of the Treasury Department, basically giving us the governmental economic equivalent of Dante's Inferno if the two parties cannot come to an agreement before the money starts to run out, which we're anticipating is going to happen around June sometime.
We've been using extraordinary measures for several months now, and our ability to do that is running out, and we will start to run down our cash, and our current projection is that in early June, a day will come when we're unable to pay our bills unless Congress raises the debt ceiling.
So that is all well and good, I suppose. But one of the biggest concerns is going to be the effect the debt ceiling shutdown on the economy could have on seniors, on older Americans, and retirees who are currently or soon to be on Social Security benefits. Because the reality is, even a short shutdown could have serious consequences on beneficiaries in the short run, and even more so in the long run. In the short run, the main problem would be the delay in retirement benefits, because everyone eventually, they will get paid. There is enough money in the trust fund to last a while if it was necessary to be drawn against. But those delays would wreak havoc on the lives of seniors who will still have bills to pay, things like rent, medications, gas, electric, utilities, and food. With the delay in Social Security checks, it means seniors would have to begin to prioritize what bill gets paid first. Secondarily, and in the long run, the potential drawdown of Social Security Trust Fund would be bad, would be, in fact, very bad. But also the potential loss of hundreds of thousands of jobs, the downturn of the economy that would result as a result of the debt ceiling not getting passed, would also mean that the trust fund would continue to be unreplenished very quickly, as the trust fund is paid through payroll taxes. And that could make that 2033 estimation date, when Social Security is already estimated to not be able to pay out all of its benefits, get even closer. So even though if the debt ceiling shutdown does come to fruition, the effects, they're not going to hit all Social Security beneficiaries equally. This is because the SSA, Social Security, they are not going to prioritize one group of beneficiaries, the folks who need it most, over another, which means that the delay will hurt the lower income seniors and people on supplemental security income much more harshly than other beneficiaries. The reason for this is because how Social Security benefits in our country are structured. In the U.S., we have a Social Security system that is progressive, which means that people who make less money during their working lives ultimately end up paying less into it, but overall start to get benefits back out that cover a larger portion of their monthly budgets once they retire. It also means that folks who make more money, currently at the moment, this would be folks who make $160,000 a year or above, well, they do end up paying more money into the system while they are working, but they end up getting less money back in relation to their overall income or their budgets. Ultimately, what this means is that if a delay happens or if benefits are cut across the board, it is going to be those low-income seniors who are going to feel it more. For example, right now, lower-income seniors, that is folks who make less than $29,999 a year in their working lives and throughout adjusted for the entire time that they're working, they end up getting about 50% of their retirement income replaced by Social Security benefits that they get from Social Security. But if we hit that 2033 deadline, or perhaps even shorter, how things are going, it would mean that those benefits would drop. And then Social Security checks would only start replacing 40% of a lower income's retiree's benefit. This is not the case for higher income Social Security beneficiaries. Again, for those folks in 2023 who made more than $160K a year, or the equivalent while they were working through the last years. For these beneficiaries, if the Social Security default happens, their income replaced by Social Security would go down, but it would only go down from 25% to 20% of the retirement benefits being replaced. So instead of having a 10% drop like lower income beneficiaries in their budgets, they would actually only see a 5% drop because Social Security replaces less of their overall income. Similarly, in the shorter term, if there was a delay in benefits getting paid out, lower income households that rely on Social Security benefits are much less likely to have the savings needed for an emergency situation and could be forced to prioritize their bills or even go without until they start getting paid their Social Security benefits out once again. While higher income households often do have savings, they're going to have things like a 401k or extra cash or assets that they can use to help tide them over until the full benefits get paid out once again. These are things that really need to be taken into consideration by both Republicans and Democrats before they decide to go hand in hand over this fiscal cliff. Also last week, I guess maybe 2 weeks ago, we did a video talking about the remaining states in the union that still tax Social Security benefits at the state level. But there was a handful of states who had legislation in process to remove all state taxation on Social Security benefits. One of these states was the state of Minnesota. Well, last Tuesday, the Senate Democrats in Minnesota, they passed a bill that despite all the rhetoric about removing all sorts of taxation on Social Security benefits, and despite having a massive $17.5 billion surplus for the year, they ended up failing to remove all taxation on Social Security benefits. Now, to be fair, although they didn't have a full repeal of Social Security taxes in Minnesota, they did manage to move up the income level to pay $0 on taxes on Social Security benefits. So they moved that up to, for a single individual, an income up to $78,000 a year in which they can have and not pay any tax on their Social Security, or for couples up to $100,000 or less. This new change should actually end up covering 3/4 of the Social Security population in the state and really only leave out the wealthiest residents of the state who will still have to pay the tax. Now, even though those wealthier 1/4 of Social Security population will be left having to pay some taxes on their Social Security benefits, it's not a specific tax cliff, meaning that the wealthy Minnesotans income, once it goes up over that $100,000 for a couple, the taxation will slowly increase until they get to $140,000 a year in income when the full taxation will be applied to their Social Security benefits. So it seems like a relatively fair conclusion. It's going to help out a lot of seniors who are in Minnesota who had been being taxed up to this point. But again, I still don't fully understand why Social Security benefits are taxed at the state level and how that's not double taxation. So this week will turn out to be, I think, really interesting. I think partly because we are starting to get up against the deadline when money in the country could start to run out. Because even if there was an agreement, it would still take time to get the gears of state moving in again and ensure that everything gets paid on time. With regards to Minnesota, it actually seems pretty reasonable what they have come upon. And I say that not just because the demographics of this channel show that most of us would be exempt from the taxation, but because Like with Social Security benefits getting cut off or delayed and taxed on Social Security benefits, it also affects those lower income seniors massively more than it does wealthier retirees. I mean, just taxing $1 away from a lower income person, well, it affects their budget much, much more than folks with higher income. So in some ways, it does seem kind of fair, and it seems way better than the situation they had before. All right, so that's it for today's Michael's Matters, and I really hope that you enjoyed this video. And if you did, if you found it interesting, if you found it helpful, hey, if you found it useful, please don't forget to like and subscribe, because it does really help the channel to grow. And again, super thankful for that. But also because you get notifications when our newest and most informative videos become available. So for Michael's Matters, I'm Michael, hoping that you take care of yourself, take care of others, and have a happy, healthy day.